Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, February 14th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol MGOL. Monster move today, huge volume, and now some very well-defined areas here. So let's start off with the key level of resistance that I think a lot of people will be watching. And is it going to be that exact trend line? I don't know if I'd say that, but is there going to be some sort of trend line that's illustrating the fact that, broadly speaking, there's a pullback? Yeah, I think a lot of people have done that. And I make the comment about a lot of people because when a lot of people are watching the same general areas and wondering the same general things, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So no guarantees, but is it rational to think that the price could come up here, get a break, and then that break right there create additional buying pressure? Yeah, that is certainly a plausible scenario from a breakout standpoint. In terms of areas of support, a couple different areas you could, or ways you could do it. I mean, you could throw a trend line in right there. I wouldn't have any complaint against that. But I'm just going to simplify this, no pun intended, and just use the 50-period simple moving average right there, that purple line. Keyword there being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So you can see that in all actuality, if we just pretend that this is a trend line and then we use that trend line right there, we have this wedge formation that's forming. So ultimately, it's going to be a question of can the price get the break to the upside. But all in all, anyway, look at it. Great pattern. Very nice volume today. So we'll see how it closes out the week on Friday. Next one here, BSLK, another just huge monster mover. So let's get some key levels here mapped out. First area from a support standpoint. If you like to play pullbacks, I think right down there around the 80-cent mark is a very interesting level. Of course, it's not guaranteed to bounce from there, but I could see it bouncing from there, especially when it's already bounced once before right there. And this was a former area of resistance. So just a classic example of this area of resistance now behaving as support. So for you pullback players, keep an eye on that. And then in terms of areas of resistance, really no need to overcomplicate this. Just ask the question, where did the party finally stop today? And the party finally stopped up there at $1.25. So no need to get all complicated and fancy within the reasoning and logic. Sometimes just basic questions. Where did the party stop? $1.25 is going to be that main battleground if there is any sort of move back upwards. But the ingredients are there, especially for those of you that enjoy trading. It's got great volume. It's got good volatility. So we'll see how it goes on Friday. Next one here, BBAI. Did this one in the previous video, so that is where these annotation areas are coming from. And that resistance right there, I mean, it did a decent job, but with the gap up, that kind of threw things off. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this annotation now as we head into the coming days here. Now, the one level that I think did play a good role was this $9.30 mark. I've been talking about that as an area of support. And you can see right there, price bounced right off of it and then came down here, false breakdown before a very nice recovery back up. So moving forward, $9.30 still remains that initial area. But as time goes by, that purple line there, which you now know is the 50-period simple moving average. But as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and eventually will actually cross up above 930. And when that occurs, that's where the purple line would now take a higher priority. But as of right now, price is still down below there, so you got to give the higher priority to the $9.30 mark. In terms of areas of resistance, I think the interesting level to watch now moving forward is going to be that level right there. And key dynamic here, high volume. But if the price can come up there and give a high volume break of that level, no guarantees. But I think there's a good realistic chance that the price not only goes up to those highs, but has a very realistic chance of pushing up even higher. But again, it's first got to break above that line, and it's got to be a higher volume break of it. But all in all, charts hanging in there just fine. Next one here, MBRX. Crazy move on this one. This was alerted in our chat room. I remember alerting it like when it was still down below $2, then to think that it moved all the way up to almost $4. Just craziness, a lot of halts. Now things are looking pretty shaky, but for you pullback players out there, maybe you know right where I'm headed with all this. But if you are somebody that likes this price range and you like to play those deeper pullbacks, I mean, right now, so far so good. The price is doing a very good job of respecting and honoring that pink line there, which on my chart denotes the 200-period moving average. You can see right there, basically bounced right off of it. Now, does that mean that it's for sure going to continue to go sideways and bounce? No, there's no guarantees. But is it at least a plausible thought to have? Absolutely. Maybe you're someone that's like, no, I'd like to see a little bit more bloodshed. I like the idea of buying a pullback at the 50-period moving average. I can see that logic too. Of course, the risk for that is if it does happen to bounce right from here, well, then you're going to be sitting there watching the balloon float away without ever making a trade. But at the end of the day, you got to do what best fits your risk tolerance and strategy. But either way, very, very eventful day. Very deep pullback. But for those of you that, like I said, like to play these pullback situations, keep an eye on it. Next one here, NVDA, and talked about this one in previous videos. In fact, do it on a very routine basis since it's NVIDIA, pretty popular stock out there. But for those of you that watched previous videos, hopefully you remember me talking about that resistance line right there. And you can see earlier on in the day, price came up here, got the breakthrough there. And as I mentioned, no guarantees, but was there at least plausible that the price would at least go up and test those highs? And that's exactly what happened. And not only did it test those highs, in fact, it temporarily got rejected, but it blasted up through them before finally pulling back. So in other words, very eventful day. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines as they serve their purpose for now. In fact, I'm actually just going to get rid of that level too because I don't want to clutter this up too much. But now we have ourselves a good solid pattern here. And when you have patterns on very well-known stocks such as NVIDIA, again, guarantees nothing, but certainly can produce some self-fulfilling prophecy. So we have that resistance dynamic right there. And once more, I'm not going to use an actual lower trend line, but let's just use our friend, the 50-period moving average here as a lower trend line. So as this line will continue to look something like that. And then just to convert this into the overall pattern. So we have our resistance. We have our support. So we have this nice wedge. If you want to add in that formation, then you could put the golf hole down here, call this a bull pennant if you really wanted to. But the key dynamic here from just kind of a pricing standpoint is that there is some choppiness, but as you notice, these lines will eventually run out of room. So who is ultimately going to win the battle? Do the bears win with a push to the downside? Do the bulls win with a push to the upside? We'll see what happens with it. But right now, you got to be leaning towards the bulls just because they do seem to have some upwards momentum now. But it'll be a very interesting Friday for sure. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use, or if you're watching right at my website, there's an area on the webpage. Now, a special note, it is a genuine live event. So a couple things, maybe you already have something on your schedule this evening, maybe you're watching this Friday morning and you totally missed it. That is okay, it will be recorded. So if you'd like to see a replay of it, just email me, clay@clayjar.com, and I'd be happy to send you a link to that so you can watch it when it best fits into your schedule. But if you can make it live, then definitely get signed up and I'll see you here in just a few hours. Next ticker here, EDSA, and big mover, got a bit of a pullback here, but once more, going back to the idea of, do we have a line that I think a lot of people have probably drawn? And yeah, I think a lot of people have drawn a trend line pretty similar to that. So we have that as the top part of the pattern. Then we have this lower part of the pattern right there, green for support. And then just to make it easier to see, let's keep it one color. So we have our resistance. We have our support. We have the big move up. We have the golf hole down here. We have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So if you like this price range down below $10, you like bull pennants, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and the bounce continues. Yesterday, as I pointed out, things were looking pretty shaky because that last 30 minutes, you can see pretty big red bar, but also as I talked about, one candlestick does not make or break a chart, and that's exactly what I mean because you can see today things turned around with a gap up, move up, back test here. And this is a beautiful thing, and this will mean more to those of you that have watched past top 10 videos. But if you have, you've grown sick and tired of me talking about that 50-period moving average being a level of resistance. But you can see actually right there, it did act as resistance. But when the price finally broke through it, classic example of the resistance, then look at that, boom, behaving as support. So back test to that area and back up it went. So a classic example there of the power of charts. So moving forward now, the ideal level that you definitely want to see hold is going to be that purple line there, 50-period moving average. If that level cannot quite hold up, I'm not going to say that's do or die, but I will say that the do or die level is right there at the 335.60 mark because if the price were to come down there and then drop down below it, all of a sudden you have the price basically having gone right back to where it was. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of true strength. So keep your eye on those couple of areas from a resistance standpoint, or excuse me, support standpoint. And then in terms of resistances, next key level going to be right up there at that area, which puts it right up around the $361 mark. And then from more of the overarching standpoint from a resistance view, keep an eye on that pink line up there, 200-period moving average. But all in all, definitely another good bounce day, and we'll see if the bounce continues into Friday. Next one here, TIVC, and this one has been very eventful. And today, yeah, the volume dropped off quite a bit, but still good. You know, have some good solid lines here in terms of patterns and breakouts. And the level here that you got to think a lot of people are watching right up there at 82 cents. So once again, call it whatever you want, self-fulfilling prophecy, but got, in my opinion, more than valid to think that if the price comes up here and does push up through there, that break right there in and of itself could create additional buying pressure. So you'll want to keep a close eye on that dynamic, assuming you like to play breakouts. If you're more so a pullback person, then an interesting pullback area right down here at that support area around the 0.627 mark. And then from just the overarching standpoint, so assuming you care about the grand scheme of it all, just continue to watch that purple line there, 50-period moving average. And as long as the price stays above that line, so remember, as that line moves higher and higher, if you just envision that as an overall trend line, as long as the price is staying above the overall trend line, then that by definition means that the price is still in an overall uptrend. So all in all, though, nice dynamics here. Some clean areas to watch, especially that 82 cent mark. So we'll see how it goes on Friday. Next one here, HOOD, and very, very nice pattern here. So let's just hop right into it. So bottom part of the pattern is right down here. You can see basically 3 times price came down there, right around $61.20. So once, twice, 3 times, and each time did hold strong. And then bounced back upwards and is now getting this consolidation. But within this consolidation, I think a lot of people have connected those 2 dots. So, you know, we can call it a self-fulfilling prophecy type trend line. So as I've said a million times and might say a million more, no guarantees, but if the price comes up here and breaks up through there, valid to think that that break in and of itself, even if it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, could generate more buying pressure and momentum and then carry it at least up to those highs. But again, you'd want to see a higher volume break, but a higher volume break up there, logical to think that the price could go up to that area and then maybe even break up higher than that. But all in all, huge volume today, nice momentum. So we'll see if the price can indeed get a break to the upside and maybe push even higher highs. Next one here is CYN, and a relatively uneventful day in terms of volume. Volume dropped off a whole lot, but I know a lot of people are watching this one, so I just want to kind of give a quick and final update for now. And I say final just because, like I said, this thing seems to be drifting back into oblivion, so I'm going to get rid of that level. And I say that because the level that was really important was this green line here, and as I've noted in past videos, if the price did break below here and start to drift downwards, what is that doing? Well, the further it drifts, the further and further, the closer and closer it goes to becoming, well, just where the price started. Or in other words, you know, basically a pump and dump, right? And that a pump and dump is just where price movements make very, very impressive movements and all of a sudden end up right back to where they were. So again, I'm not saying this is necessarily a pump and dump in the sense of this is some company being run out of a bunker in, you know, Somalia. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying from strictly a price action standpoint, pump and dumps, boom, big price movement, and then all of a sudden start to head back to where they were. And that's seemingly what's going on here. Now, all of a sudden, this thing could come back to life and, you know, curl back upwards, and all of a sudden, it's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new discussion. But as of right now, with the price drifting down below that level, the further it drifts down, the further and closer it becomes to just literally going back to where it started, which, as I mentioned earlier, is just not a sign of genuine power. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about the tool, then definitely get signed up for the free live training this evening. It'll be Thursday, like I said, this evening, February 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. But as I mentioned, if you cannot make it for whatever reason, go ahead, send me an email to clay@claytrader.com, and I'd be happy to send you a link to the replay so that you can watch it at your earliest convenience. And as far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please hit that like button. And if you're looking to support the channel in a super free and easy way, if you could hit that subscribe button, that really does help out. It does make a difference. So please highly consider doing that. But thanks for watching. Make sure you get signed up for that free class. And if you can't, send me an email. But hopefully I'll be seeing you here in just a few hours.